How much is the monthly expenses and where it goes? Like, if you can just give me an approximate. They're gonna convert it.
They're gonna convert it to Indian rupees. Yeah,
exactly. That's how we mentally are.
Right.
The money has to be there in the bank account or not?
Not necessarily. You just need to produce a document saying the money is gonna come from somewhere. Like
these three offers were from the same state or from different states?
they're gonna issue an I-20, which it took them 30 seconds to say you're good to go.
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Did they check any documents? Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Umar. Today I'm here with a very special guest of mine, Hammenth Kumar. He's from India. He's right now doing a full-time job in the US. Previously he was on a US student visa. So in this session we're going to be discussing what it's like to be here on a student visa, how much does it cost, the full application process, other living expenses and many much more. So Hammenth, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for calling me.
So Hammenth, if I may ask, why did you decide to come to the US? Why not Canada, UK, Germany, or any other countries?
The place that I work in, I'm mostly interested in computer science, and I've studied computer science throughout the years. Just comparing the different geographies, US has a good dominance in computer science if you want to do more on the software.
Do you have any immediate relatives in the US or any friends or what?
Yeah, I have a brother in the US.
Oh, you have a brother?
Yeah, who came to the US I think 3 years before me.
3 years back. So did you consult with him? Did you research the universities, or how did you take the first step to get yourself admitted to US universities?
Yeah, the first step's asking someone who's already been there. They've been through the process, right?
Okay. So you came to the same university from where your brother has already done something or not?
I did not come to see him, no.
Okay, so you come to a different university.
Yes.
That is what I'm trying to ask. There is a lot of students who is nervous, who is confused, how to pick the university, how to pick a state. So I would like to know, how did you shortlisted these universities? How many universities did you shortlisted, and what were the criteria for that? It is based on the state, the tuition fee, or the program that you are interested in. Yeah, what were those factors did you consider in selecting the university?
Yeah. The main criteria would be how the university does. The rank of the university is definitely one of the top things I was looking at. Secondly, what kind of work they were producing, what they were known for. For example, Arizona State, it's a very famous university, but it used to be really known for this innovative culture. You can interact with people, you can build a lot of things out of that place, and that's kind of why people aspire to be there. And I was looking at several of these qualities in different places, and I shortlisted, I think, around 10 universities that I applied to.
You shortlisted 10 universities?
Yeah.
And in which state, in particular US?
It's across the US. I did not pick any particular state. I know tuition is going to be more or less high no matter where you go. If you do negotiate for that, you're going to lose on the performance and ranking and things.
Okay, so you shortlisted 10 universities across US. So how many offers did you got from these universities, and how many rejections? Of course, there is always some rejections as well.
There's always rejections.
So how many universities did you get accepted to?
I got 3 offers.
Okay, you got 3 offers, and the rest of them were rejected. And these 3 offers were from the same state or from different states?
They're different states.
Is there any application fee as well? I've heard there is some sort of application processing fee as well. How much is that?
Close to $100. Usually they waive it off the universities. If you mention, I'm a student internationally, I come from a moderate financial background.
Yeah, that's what my other question was, supporting question. Of course, if you are going to apply for 10 universities and you are paying 100, because when I was coming here, so it was around, if I remember it, $25 to $50 when I was coming to the US.
Yeah.
So if you were even paying $50 per college, and if you are applying to 10 colleges, so 50 multiplied by 2 is a lot of money. So that was my question was, so I have heard that university waived it for you, correct?
Sometimes, yeah. There's also this additional fees you're going to pay to, the committee who will give you the GRE results and the TOEFL results. Okay. So you have to pay them extra to send the results to these universities, and you're not going to get that back.
So if you start this step by step, let's to understand how if somebody is watching us through the YouTube channel, so he's interested to get himself admitted. So what is the first step that he's going to do? He's going to apply for the university, correct? He's going to pay the application fee, and then what? What sort of documents does the university require?
The main things that they look at when they look at your profile to see like whether you're in or out, right? First thing would be the GRE, which has been less and less popular like in the past years, I would say.
So it is a must, compulsory. GRE is compulsory.
In a lot of universities, it's recommended. It's
Okay.
not compulsory. I think after COVID, they waived it off. But it's still a good to have. You can score like high enough if you do prepare for like.
How
4
much
to
do you
6
need,
months.
like on average?
As a score?
Yes.
GRE scored in 340. That's the max score that you can get. I would say anything above 300, you're like pretty good.
You are good to go and you can take admission.
Yeah. And if you go like above 320, it's a really strong profile. 330 is what you would need, let's say, if you want to get into MIT or something else.
What about like others, IELTS, TOEFL, GMATs? Does it like as a substitute or not? It will not work.
You need GRE for analytical skills, like to see like how much math knowledge and how much you can like speak English or like just like handle grammar and that kind of sense. You'll need an additional test that you would need to pass. It could be IELTS or like TOEFL.
Okay, along with the GRE.
Along with the GRE, yes.
So you need to go through a GRE and then you need IELTS as well.
Yes.
Okay, so you have both of them.
Yeah, I did TOEFL, yeah.
Okay, you did TOEFL.
Yeah, and TOEFL is usually a cutoff score. Like they don't see like how good you're performing, but rather if you cross the cutoff, they don't look at it anymore.
You need these two documents, like as an English proficiency or something like that. And what other things like university requires you to submit as an initial documents to get that offer letter?
Yeah, you're gonna give them an SOP, statement of purpose, to say like why you wanna like join the university.
Okay,
like, they want to like know exactly why you wanna join. They wanna know your motivations.
Yeah.
They're gonna like get to know about you personally, and like that's like I'd say 40% of your profile will depend on that SOP. It's 2 pages.
Is it in a form of essay, correct? I think
It's
we have
in
gone
an
through the
essay.
same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's like so many blogs, articles on like how to write these SOPs, and it's gonna take. I think it took me a month to prepare the first draft of my SOP, and for each university, I had to like craft my own like version of SOPs.
Okay, but right now, as you know, we have ChatGPT, so we can take help from the ChatGPT or not?
Definitely, yeah.
What sort of academic documents they require us from you? Like,
They're gonna need your transcript. I think Kannavshal is fine, so you can just download in your school website and just give it to them. People do apply from their 3rd year or like in the middle of 2nd year or something, so they don't need your entire grade history or something.
okay, only the last transcript.
Yeah, whatever you have available with you. Yeah,
Okay,
the final
so
transcript that you have.
just need your transcript, you just need your TOEFL or GRE, GMAT certificates, GRE plus along with the IELTS or TOEFL, whatever you're gonna say, and then you're gonna have to submit it. Okay, and then you pay the application processing fee, you get the offer letter. Okay, now you get the offer letter.
Yeah.
What are the other steps that you are supposed to do after this? What's gonna happen? You're gonna apply for the visa or not? There are some other documents that.
It depends on when you're gonna get your offer letter. Like it might vary all the way from December. Some people do get it early.
How much time does
As
it take
well
to
as-
get this offer letter?
It's on a rolling basis. The earlier you apply, the closer to when the application opens, the faster you're gonna get it. But it still takes like closer to a month to 3 months or
to
more.
get that offer letter once you
Yes.
submitted all the documents.
Yeah.
Okay, now you got your offer letter. What else? What is the next step? I have heard there is some service fee like you are supposed to pay.
You're gonna like pay the service fee to like register yourself in like the service department. It's gonna get your profile as like to go
And
through
it's
this
a
immigration
mandatory fee,
process.
correct?
Yep.
Everybody who is interested to come to the US to study or exchange program, they has to pay this fee. Okay, then you have paid your service fee. What else? Like after that?
Yeah, they're gonna issue an I-20, which
Yes.
you're gonna like take. It's an important document which is gonna take you throughout your status as F1 as student.
So I-20 is a document. It's known as an immigration document based on which you're gonna have to apply for the visa actually.
Yeah.
So then what? Like how did you apply for the visa? Did you do it by yourself or somebody? Did you take help from somebody?
Yeah, it was by myself. I did it before I got the I-20. Like you could like book an appointment. The appointment takes forever to get. Like I think some people waited for 6 months or 4 months before you can
before
actually
jumping
go
to the appointment, like there is a lot of people who are asking like the DS-160 is a little bit technical. Like is it technical? Like is it that much technical? Because there is a lot of people and a lot of agents who charge a lot of money for that. So a lot of people are confused. Like if you may answer that question as well, because I personally recommend to everybody it's not that technical. But if you could answer it, like is it technical? What sort of documents?
It's very technical. Like I did it by myself. It's gonna take some time to understand the terminologies for sure.
Okay.
But like it's the era of internet, right? You could always like search and like figure out what exactly they're asking you to fill. There's always someone you can ask somewhere, and like you'll get to know the answer.
Yeah, and there is a lot of videos on the
Yeah.
YouTube. If you guys are stuck in a step, you can directly just Google it and YouTube. There is a lot of bunch of videos on the YouTube. Okay, so you fill your DS-160. In how much time did you get your appointment? Like
I got mine, I think, for 3 to 4 months.
3 to 4
afterward,
months.
Yeah.
So you got your appointment, and then you get to the embassy. So what sort of questions like they ask you? This is the main point. Like
that's the scary point.
That's the scary point. Exactly.
It's way more scary to prepare to go to the embassy than like actually go there to the interview. Like people recommend like these list of documents for you to prepare. Financial status is one, and like a few others about yourself, your parents, what they do, their income. Pretty much.
So what sort of documents you took to the embassy? Like
anything and everything you can think of.
Everything.
They were like at least 100 pages, like that I like had in a huge binder.
Okay, and then what happened?
I went there. It took them 30 seconds to say you're good to go.
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Did they check any documents?
They just took my I-20. They asked me, they asked like what university I'm going into. I said, I'm going to Rice, and they're like, oh wow, they do ask like good amount of money as fees. Like, what are you gonna do about it? I said, I'm gonna take a loan. Okay, yeah, that's great. I think a lot of people do that. And 2 seconds, like 10 seconds, there was like a silence, and like I was just waiting. They took my passport. They're like, you're good to go. Next, please.
Yeah, that's exactly like what we are shocked. Like a lot of people ask the same question. Like whenever you get to the embassy, you need to bring these documents. You need to take a lot of these documents. Your academic credentials, your financial proof, and everything. But they do not check anything. Like as you are mentioning, like they hardly take like 20 to 30 seconds to decide whether to good to go or not to go.
Exactly.
Correct. They just ask few questions. So, in your opinion, what sort of things like they are interested to see in a person?
They're going to see for sure whether you lied in your application anywhere. Like, can you sustain yourself financially? That's the main thing they would see. That's the most common question that's being asked to a lot of people. Like, they're going to see, like, how are you going to pay for your fees? And, like, how are you going to maintain your finances while you're there? Like, your accommodation and a few other things.
So, the money has to be there in the bank account or not?
Not necessarily. You just need to produce a document saying the money is going to come from somewhere. Like, for example, I took a loan. As a loan, and, like, I had a loan letter with me. And if they ask me, like, I could just present it to them to say, oh, yeah, I took a loan over here. They're going to give me the whole fees for like a year and a half.
The necessary fees to support yourself here financially.
Yeah, and like we have this collateral, we gave it as for the loan. So like we don't get stuck in the loan. They're going to give the loan for sure.
Okay, so it doesn't matter like how much money you have. They are only concerned like how much you're going to support yourself financially. Yeah. It can be either through loan, through your money. Now you got selected. They give you a visa. When did you come to the US, by the way?
I came closer to July 20, something like that. Like somewhere mid of July to August. I came like 2 weeks before my college started.
How much was like your tuition fee? What sort of program did you apply to?
Mine was a master's in computer science. It was more of a practical knowledge base. There's two things. Like one is like thesis based, where people go in, they're gonna spend at least half to a whole year just writing a thesis. It's going to be like a research paper. Oh. They're going to like work with like a research team.
That's tough, man. Like I have done that. Like that's tough.
Yeah.
Like we were supposed to do like when I was doing my MBA, so I can still remember like we were going through the thesis and stuff. Yeah. And believe me, guys, that's tough. Like right now, when I was studying, like when I was doing my master in MBA, so there were no ChatGPT. Believe me, it was tough. Like we're gonna have to go through like 50 to 60 research papers, and then you're gonna code those papers, and it was like a lot much more harder. So what was the total duration of your program, by the way?
Mine was 2 years. People usually did it in 1.5 years, but I took 2 years to like just get it done.
Yeah, it's hard. I can understand. Yeah. I can definitely understand. How much was the total tuition cost?
It was again, Rice is an expensive university.
Yeah,
it's one of the most expensive.
Master's expensive. That's why I like.
As fees, they take close to $26,000 per semester.
Per semester.
$26,000 per semester.
And how much is this semester? Like we're talking about for how month?
4 to 6 months.
4 to 6 months. So it's gonna be around like around 75 to 80,000. Yeah. Okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, masters are cost around like 75 to 80,000 in US. Yeah. What about the living expenses? Like, this university is in the Texas, correct?
Yeah.
So how being an international student, like, is it easy? Is it hard to manage these living expenses? That's what like a lot of people ask me in the comment section.
Yeah, it's It's not too hard. Like people do think, oh yeah, we're going to spend in dollars. It's going to be expensive. The first few months, of course, like you're going to like get to know the dollar. You're going to see like every dollar bill that you spend, you're going to see like
They're going to convert it.
They're going to convert it to Indian
It's like,
rupees. Yeah,
exactly. That's how we mentally are.
Right.
Like we usually, I'm from Pakistan, so we usually convert it like with we multiply it with 275 or 280. When I was in this country, so the dollar almost hit around like I can still remember 290 or 300. So like every dollar that I spent, I was like multiplying it with 280, $300. So it was a lot of money. So if we roughly like calculate how much is the monthly expenses and where it goes, like if you can just give me an approximate.
In Texas, for example, the rent is pretty cheap. Like we're now in Boston, right? It's expensive.
Correct.
Texas, the rent is like between 700 all the way to like $1,000
monthly rent.
Monthly rent, yeah. And that's if you have like your own room and like a good amount
separate
of
room. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
separate room. Okay.
So I mean, if you want to, you can like share rooms. It's going to be like cost you less. People are paying like $500, $400.
Okay.
And that's not too bad actually. That's like pretty good compared to like other states.
Correct. Like in Boston, bro, like we are paying like 2,000. I'm paying 2,000. It's pretty much expensive for my own room, like for my privacy. So that's why I like that. How much?
Like I had a 2-bed, 2-bath in Texas, and when I came here, I heard people were living in like 6 beds, 1 bath, and they're paying more rent than me. So
that is what I always tell people, but they always say like, why you are in US and there are a lot of people in US and why you have this much expenses. I say, bro, this is Boston. Like this is like the third most expensive state in the US. Okay, so your rent is around like 800 to 1,000. What about other expenses like the groceries?
Yeah, usually groceries and electricity bills and those kind of things. It comes down to like $200 to $300.
Okay.
Depends on how much you spend. You can lavishly live for like $500 extra. Okay. That's not gonna be too much, I would say.
Okay. So around like if you can calculate like within $1,500 monthly, like roughly if you include everything, rent along with utilities and your phone expenses of course as well. So it's gonna be costing like $1,500. Okay. So are we allowed being an international student to work part-time or not? If somebody is interested.
Yeah, you can work part-time legally at the university, like wherever you're studying.
In campus, correct?
In campus.
While you are studying, okay.
Yeah. If you want to work outside, it's usually not available in the first year, and like they allow some internships in the later years. But in the first year, usually you work on campus on some job. It could be any kind of job, and they're like fine with it.
How much they roughly pay?
Like anywhere from minimum wage all the way to like $20 to $30 per hour.
So you can easily like pay your expenses, if I can say like.
It's going to match very close to your expenses. I'm not going to say like it's going to cover everything for sure. Like there's going to always be like the gotchas.
Yeah.
The more promising part is like the moment you enter your second year sometime, and when you get all those experience and you start going for an internship. These internships, they pay a shit ton.
Okay.
And they're going to pay a lot. They're going to cover a lot of your expenses that you have backtracked, and they're going to cover your expenses moving forward. And like, if you could put part of your loan amount in this, I do see a lot of people are doing that. When you start working, you could like pay back your loan within a year or two.
Did you take the loan from a US or from your home country? From
Mine
India?
was in the home country.
Okay, what about the scholarship? Does university offer any sort of scholarship in this amount as well? Like
some universities do offer, usually master's programs, they don't put too much money in it. Like the scholarships are rare. Mostly the scholarships, the amount for your like funding, they come from research labs or some like professors who you work closely with when you join a university. Okay. And I know it happens a lot with the thesis masters. Like you don't get the paid, but you also get paid with it.
Correct. So there is not much more scholarship, and it depends on university to university. Yes. So what do you suggest? Like if somebody is interested to come to the US, they need to come for a bachelor's or for a master's, because as you know, this is pretty much expensive. Like whenever I ask the same question from a lot of people, so they roughly told me like the master cost around like 65 to 75, around 80K along with living expenses and everything, which is a lot of money. Like especially for me, like I belong from a middle or lower middle class family. Believe me, like bro, if we multiply this in our local currency in Pakistani PKR, it's a hell of a lot of money. So do they need to come for bachelor's or master's? What do you suggest them?
It's a personal preference. I think if they're aware of what they want to do next, and if they think like bachelor's here would be better, it's like less churn for them. Like you know as well, like in a lot of countries.
But for me, it's gonna be much more expensive.
It's gonna be
4 years.
expensive for sure. Yes.
Yeah, because you, as compared to like, there is one guy who is of course in the US for 2 years, and on the other hand, you're gonna be here for 4 years. So you can like calculate like the monthly expenses.
Yeah. I think the fees would be different. The scholarships are more like it's better for bachelors. Like they are willing to support the bachelor students much more because they spend 4 years in the university.
Okay.
They're going to go through the entire curriculum and like they do represent the university much more than a master's students. In general.
Okay, and what about like a student has to be bright for that, like, or not? Is that not compulsory?
I think
every student
it
can
goes
also.
during your admission. Like when you do put in your admission thing, they're gonna like offer you, oh, this much funding is what we can offer you, and so and so. It depends on the university. I don't know if it's bright or not. They can't necessarily judge you how bright you are before you join for bachelor's. Like,
Okay.
Whatever you did before, they can like take some instances, but they're gonna take your how motivated you are to finish these 4 years. 4 years are gonna be tough, right? And in the US, it's a different kind of nature. You're gonna need to like adapt to this environment and like excel at it.
Okay, once you have done your like your studies, so what are the long-term growth opportunities here if somebody is interested to, of course, like if some people like it, of course there will be a lot of people who want to go back to their home country, but if somebody is interested to stay longer, so what are the growth opportunities, how they can stay here legally, and what are the pathways to the green card or citizenship?
Yeah. Immediate step would be after you finish your studies for like let's say 1 year or 1.5 years or 2 years, you're gonna join an optional practical training (OPT).
OPT, which is known as
Yeah, that you will still be in an F1 student visa, but this will allow you to work for 1 year, and if you're working in a STEM company, it's gonna allow you to work for 3 years.
Yeah, for this clarification, like there are two type of masters, correct? STEM, non-STEM.
Yeah.
So we are specifically talking about STEM degree. So let me clarify this. So there are two sort of masters. One is known as STEM and other is non-STEM. You're gonna ask for it, like whenever you guys are applying to a master to any university, you're gonna specifically ask for it, whether it is STEM or not. Because in non-STEM, I think you are allowed to work for 1 year, correct?
Yeah.
If I am not wrong. And with a STEM, if your degree is STEM, so you can work, you are allowed to legally work in the US after your graduation for 1 year, which you can later on further extend it up to 2 years.
Yes.
So technically you can work 3 years, correct?
Yeah.
And I think after your graduation, you have some cushion time in which you are supposed to find a job. Otherwise, they're gonna like you're gonna have to go back.
Yeah,
is it 3 months or how much, if I may?
Yeah, I think it is 3 months. I don't remember exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
so after like graduation, you guys have only 3 months in which you guys are supposed to find a work, and it has to be, I think, related with your job or not. Or during OPT, it is allowed.
It should.
I think in OPT, yeah, in OPT, so in OPT, you guys can do whatever work you want. You can have your own company here, but after OPT, the work has to be related to your program, whatever you have done. Like in his case, you have done your computer science, so of course, you guys do deal with like Python, those sort of things. Python, R, that's a lot more tough. Man. Like I have done analytics, but keep me away from that thing. Like that's too much technical for me. Like those are really technical terms. Yeah, if somebody is doing computer science, they probably know what we are talking about. So your degree, whatever you are doing, whatever your program is, so you're gonna have to find something which 80% of your work has to be related to your program. Okay, so let's assume like you are right now on OPT, you find a job somewhere, and they're paying you. What else? How are we gonna like get a green card or a citizenship? How that works?
Like the next step after OPT is like H1B. It gives you the 5-year
What is
extension.
H1B?
H1B is a proper work visa that you get in the US. You can work for like 5 years and you can apply extensions after that.
Okay.
The process is like you go through a lottery system.
Okay.
Your company should, or like you yourself can apply for the lottery, and it's a probabilistic chance. Like you're going to get your lottery.
So your company has to apply for it, or you yourself can sponsor yourself?
You could sponsor yourself too. You should be working in
H1B?
company. Yeah.
So are we allowed to sponsor ourselves in H1B? Or I think as far as I have heard, like the company that you're working with, they're going to have to file these cases for you for the H1B to get yourself enrolled in the lottery.
I'm not too sure on this matter. I haven't seen anyone apply for themselves, but I haven't seen the legal.
You can apply, like there is a new policy right now in which, but you're going to have your company. Yeah. So in H1B, how this thing works currently, like there is a recent update with the UCIS in which if you have your own company during your OPT, then you can sponsor yourself through H1B. Then you can self-petition yourself. But in case of company, if you're working with someone, so they're going to have to apply on your behalf with the UCIS for your H1B, and it's a lottery system, correct? If I'm
Yes,
not wrong,
it is.
every year. So UCIS every year they conduct a lottery system in which I think there are supposed to be 55 to $85,000.
Yeah.
85,000 people. Yeah, they select 85,000 people, and it's randomly. Like
It's random.
it's random, like it's a chance. So okay, let's assume like what if somebody missed, like it conduct every year, correct? It happens every year.
It happens every year. Some years it has 2 rounds as well.
2 rounds, okay.
First round they select the number of people, and if they have some leftover slots, they do the lottery again within like the next couple of months or something.
Okay, so you guys have like we can talk about like 3 chances. Like you have 3 years, so every year you're gonna have to apply for it. Let's in the worst case scenario, if somebody is not being picked up or selected in the first round, you're gonna have to go to a second round. You're gonna have to apply for a second year. Okay, so this is the only way for students. Otherwise, there are much more. I think a lot of other options are there, E2 or business visa. Okay, so this is only specifically for that. So is it really hard to get a job in the US? Like I have heard, like students face a lot of issues to find a job.
I think eventually everyone gets a job. That's how I've seen in my university at least. It does get a bit tough depending on like the economy and like how the environment is, like how many people are willing to give you jobs. Like the past 2 years you've seen like it's been pretty tough because of everyone getting laid off.
Correct.
And government putting restrictions on these companies and finances and so on. But eventually I think everyone would get the job. It might not be within the 3 months that you mentioned, but people do work in temporary jobs, let's say, at their own universities. That's a very common thing.
Okay.
And they do that to like extend their work as much as they can, and like they do find some company to join within the next 6 to 9 months.
So okay, so in short, like maybe in the couple of few months, in the initial months when you graduated, so you may not find the job what you're looking for, but eventually you will end up with something good.
Yeah, it depends on how early you start and like how much you interview and like prepare for it. Yeah.
So is everything done online, or do we need to have connections with somebody? Like how does this process work? Like
it can go either way. Usually it's online. You do apply to a lot of jobs. You connect with a lot of people and like you talk to them. You do have the career fairs at universities. Sometimes it works out too for a lot of people. The more easier way is like to get into the company that you intern at. Like getting internships is like a bit easier than getting a job as full time. And the reason they give you an internship is so that they can hire you full time. Like that's the whole purpose of that.
Okay, so I think we covered most of the things for the students. So if somebody is interested, you came from Texas and right now you are living in Boston. So which state do you like most? If we may talk about like if somebody want to come to the US, which state like in your preference?
Yeah.
Like, this is like a matter of perspective. Like you may like, because I personally like Boston. I have been to a lot of other states, but I personally like Boston. Like although it is expensive as compared to other states, but I prefer. What do you prefer? Like what do you like about Texas? What were the main differences that you see in Texas versus Boston?
Yeah. I think as a student, I like Texas a bit more than Boston. Expenses are pretty cheap there, right? And you could afford a lot of things and you could like progress pretty quick in that nature. And the people, the city itself gives a different vibe that it makes me want to like learn more, and like it gives me that studying kind of vibe. Boston is known as the college city for sure. Like it has all these big universities.
Top university like Harvard, Northeastern, Boston University.
So that's the other part of Boston, right? Boston is pretty good in that nature, and like if we can keep up with the competition, it's going to be heavy competition in Boston.
Yeah, because a lot of students are there, because you are competing with somebody. So there was actually one of our counselor who was also tell this thing, like if you guys graduated, so try to go to a state where there is low competition, because why do you want to compete with somebody? Like you don't need to show off. Like of course if you are in Boston, there is a lot of people, there is a lot of intelligent people that you're going to be competing with. So try to go some state where you have low competition. Once you get yourself permanent, you have your green card citizenship and everything, then you can come around and then you can stay for the rest of your life.
I do have a few opposing views on that too. Well, I did say I like Houston. One part where like to decide where you want to live depends on what kind of job you want to get. Let's say I did software engineering, right? The best place for me to be when I do my master's would be California.
Okay.
And if I do balance like the ranking of the university, the way they teach and internship opportunities and so on there, I get to meet a lot of people there just by like going around the city. You're gonna meet all the CEOs of
In
startups
California.
in the city. Yeah.
But I think I have heard like California is much more expensive than Boston.
It's gonna be more expensive, exactly. That's
Yeah.
the worst part.
Yeah, because if you are spending 80 grand in like, in Houston, so
Yeah.
I think you're gonna spending around like 120, 150 roughly like
Probably,
in
yeah.
California. Because California is like the second expensive state in the US.
Yeah.
You did all the things by yourself, correct?
Yeah.
From step one to last step.
Yeah.
From selection of the university to get yourself admitted by coming here, you did everything by yourself.
Yes.
Because there is a lot of agents every time, like whenever I post a videos, a lot of people ask me like how we can apply, if there are any consultant there, they can, like, because they charge a lot of money.
Yeah.
So what is your suggestion like to people if somebody is watching us, if somebody want to come to the US, how they can decide, like, because there is a lot of scams as well in line, how they going to decide like whether this website is authentic or not?
The first thing is to decide early, I would say. It usually takes 1 to 2 years for you to actually go through this entire process.
Okay.
And it's going to be tiresome. You're going to do a lot of work, you're going to do a lot of preparation. You have to write the exams, which is a big part of that. You're going to apply to things, you're going to get rejected,
Yeah.
those are the things. And it doesn't matter exactly if you apply by yourself or go for an agency. I prefer to apply by myself because I did the research to begin with and I know exactly how this process is going to look like. So it's just a matter of like spending the effort and time to go in and like apply to these universities, reach out to them.
How did you verify the university? Like sometimes when we try to apply for some university, so there is like, thing like skeptical things are going around in our head, maybe this might be a scam or something. Is there any way to verify the website, like is it authentic or not?
I'm not sure. There probably is a list somewhere and you could probably ask someone. You could probably even ping USCIS and like they're
Yeah.
going to let you know exactly which
And you
of
can
these are
contact
legit.
the university as well, I think,
Yeah.
as far as I have heard, you can verify, like you can with the company. And because one more thing, like as far as I have observed, like with this thing, like for example, if I'm studying in a university, like let's assume Boston University, so it's bostonuniversity.com. So it's like their official website.
Yeah.
So whenever we are trying to get an email from their site, so it has to be like, for example, if I'm Umar, so if somebody is from that company or that university is going to email me, so it's going to be like umar@boston.com.
Yeah.
So if Pratik is going to email me, then it's going to be pratik@boston.com. So I think the domain has to be the same thing, and rest you can contact the university
Yeah, sure.
directly. So as you guys heard, thank you so much, by the way,
Yeah,
once
sure.
again for having us. So it was a wonderful discussion with him. I think you guys have learned a lot of things, so it's not that much tough. I always suggest you guys, you can apply for this, you can select anywhere. Like I personally prefer Boston, but I always suggest people do not come to Boston because it's expensive. Only if
Yeah.
you guys can afford it. If you guys cannot afford it, then of course do not come to Boston, and you can prefer any other states, depend on the university. And as far as the universities are concerned, it all depends, I think, what interests you, which field you guys are in. And again, the same thing, like mine was business analytics, and he was talking about computer science. So try to select those universities which you think you can study, and alongside, as he mentioned, like you can work in the university on campus, which can help you like to cover some expenses. Other than that, if you guys have any questions, you can directly ask me in the comment section. I will try to answer this, and he will also going to answer those questions. That was it, and do follow and subscribe my channel. I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. We're gonna be talking with some other students, some other international students. I'm gonna bring these stories every week. All you have to do is follow me, support me, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.